referendum on constitutional reform for Indigenous Australians. Once we began to dismantle those instruments of prejudice within our borders, the will to discriminate beyond our shores also weakened. A discriminatory migration program was no longer thought to be in the national interest. The last vestiges of the policy ended by the mid-1970s, but it took nearly 2 decades to fully move beyond the philosophy of assimilation. Al Rasby issued a document, A Multicultural Society for the Future, in 1973. The landmark Galbally Report on Migration Settlement was released in 1978, and the National Agenda for a Multicultural Australia arrived in 1989. Galbally and the National Agenda were revolutionary for their time, if a little dense. Multicultural policy proclaimed that within the confines of our law, it was acceptable to maintain our cultural lineage and celebrate that makes us different. It acknowledged that Australian concepts of equality and fairness would bridge language and background, that access to services should be irrespective of country of birth. So while individual departments may have varied in their delivery on this promise, the ideals of Galbally are now cemented as an unquestionable part of the ethos of government, be that Liberal or Labor. That Australia was profoundly affected by these decisions is clear. From our cosmopolitan cities to our country towns, we are, by and large, comfortable with our diversity. With the Galbally vision, we have been settled millions of people from almost every corner of the globe, and in doing so have maintained a socially cohesive society. It's a fact we don't often celebrate enough, and it's only when you meet and talk to visitors from other countries, when they remark on how well we've done this, that you reflect on it. I think Australians need to reflect on it more. And I've had people from Canada and America visit recently, who are great migrant countries themselves, but always remark on how well they think we have undertaken the settlement task. With very few exceptions, we have not had the incidents of social unrest that have characterised countries such as the United Kingdom or France. We have built a unique infrastructure for settlement, including migrant resource centres, multicultural youth organisations, AMEP centres, specialised counselling services and orientation programs. We have a special broadcasting service and a telephone interpreting service. We have culturally appropriate aged care facilities and community language schools. The Australia of today is dotted with ethnic organisations and community groups that support social connections and cultural retention. From the African Women's Advocacy Unit to the Latvian dancing group, we are now proud of the customs that make us unique. The Australian Multicultural Advisory Council advice reinforces the principles of previous statements, but also declares fundamentally that a future multicultural policy must speak to all Australians. It should reach them no matter where they live or where they come from. AMAC's policy encourages cultural diversity, but only within the broader aim of social harmony. It's not a policy that advocates for diversity as division. It's a policy that seeks to define the values that unify us and the principles that bind us. In the act of becoming Australians, we ask that our newest citizens recite a pledge. The pledge goes, "From this time forward, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey." These are more than words. There is a responsibility on new citizens to help us maintain those values. The pledge emphasises that there are rights and obligations, and that these are fundamental to living in this country. Australia is an egalitarian society. It is a national trait. We are impressed by those who seek to contribute and look to give back. The future is about participation and inclusion. It is vested in policies and programs that capture and harness that great unsung asset, our diversity. Now, we're now in the middle of a population debate, and that's a good thing because it's an important issue. But whatever one's views about the size of Australia's migration program, I think all agree that there will be a migration program continue in Australia, and that Australia will continue to be a culturally diverse nation. Australia's migration program remains a critical tool in meeting the economic and demographic challenges that we face. The Rudd government's priority is, of course, for a well-managed program attuned to the demands of the Australian labour market. But a well-managed program is about more than adjusting the numbers. It's about successful settlement and the maintenance of social harmony. It requires a multicultural policy for the future. People who come to Australia, whether they come as economic migrants or refugees, want an opportunity to contribute. There is an onus on government to ensure that our newer citizens are given the chance to fully participate. Our settlement services are world class. The UNHCR Commissioner Guterres was in Australia recently, in Melbourne, and everywhere he goes in the world he tells people he's never seen settlement services as good as he saw in Australia. The Victorian settlement services made a huge impression on the Commissioner, and I think that's a great endorsement of the work that so many people have done. They are world class, and they are services that have seen the peaceful settlement of millions of people, and we must look to build on that success. In partnership with the sector, the government is developing a new framework for settlement services. We need to consider and work with the strengths of new migrants and to build on the skills which they bring. What we give in support and encouragement where migrants first arrive, we get back tenfold over the course of a lifetime. As a nation, we pride ourselves on giving everyone a fair go. But by investing in the decent and fair treatment of new arrivals to our shores, we are investing in the future contribution these people and their children will make to our community. Any future vision should ensure that we all have the opportunity to participate and enjoy the benefits of a multicultural Australia. A future multicultural Australia will capitalise on the productivity inherent in our diversity. A country literate in hundreds of languages and comfortable transitioning between cultures is naturally better equipped to deal in what is now a global marketplace. By virtue of their composition, Australian schools and universities will see culturally competent and flexible students graduate with expertise beyond the content of the curriculum. Our multicultural policy should bring us forward in our thinking. It is difference that sparks innovation, enlivens debate and fuels ideas. Over the course of AMEC's next term, Laurie Ferguson and I will be looking to AMEC for further advice on these themes of inclusion, participation and opportunity. And once again, on behalf of the Government, I'm pleased to receive the Council's advice, energy and recommendations. If migration is about nation building, multicultural policy should be about forging a shared sense of nationhood. We have created, from a great many cultures, a set of common values and a commitment to a united future. Multicultural policy continues to be instrumental to Australia's economic and social prospects. It's a policy that is about all Australians, and it should seek to benefit us all. Australia is its people. Our ingenuity and industriousness are our national strength. Thank you very much.